we're going for numbers too. Good.
Shall we start? Or shall we wait a bit? Shall we start? Yeah? Okay. Hello and welcome everyone to this year's Darlene Solomon Award ceremony, where we celebrate the winner. My name is Anne Bent. I'm from SLING, the Singapore Lipidomics Incubator, and I'm also a co-founder of FeMS. The agenda for today is we've got about half an hour. I will quickly give you the background of FeMS. Then I hand over to Professor David Bradley to share Agilent's perspective. Then Professor Markus Bank, the director of SLING, will announce the winner. And then the winner will give a short presentation on her work. And if we have time for Q&A and networking later, then we can do that as well. So Tusi, could you proceed to the next slide? I have one slide on who the FeMS are. I don't see the next, the FeMS, so we're an international network. We started about 3 years ago. We grew quickly, so we have now like 1,500 members, 4,000 followers on Twitter. We're very diverse in terms of geographical location, but also background in terms of if you come from academia, from hospital, from governmental institutions, and from industry. And we are very, very lucky to have corporate sponsorship that allows us to, for example, have these awards, but also conduct courses, talks, and so on. We have about 450 people right now enrolled in mentorship programs that run for like 6 months in one go. And one motivation really for me to co-found FeMS was to be a useful resource for anyone who's looking internationally for speakers, female speakers in the field of mass spectrometry, also employees. So we've got a job board and like lots more. So if you're interested, please visit our website and learn more and get in touch. And what's also really important for me is that we're not just for females, we're for females and supporters. As you see from this little screenshot here, it's always about like 20% males there, and this is really, really nice. With this, I would like to hand over to David.
Great, thank you, Arne. If we could go to the next slide, please, Tusi. Thank you. Great to be here, everyone. As Arne said, FeMS is not just about women, it's about men contributing to diversity and inclusion. And it's my real pleasure to be here today. So I'll quickly talk about 2 things and then pass on. But Agilent has a really serious commitment to diversity and inclusion. You may notice I'm dressed unusually. I'm actually in hospital at the moment, so forgive my dress. But this award is so important. It's the highlight of my year. So we have a long-standing commitment to diversity and inclusion at Agilent, and we value everyone, regardless of gender. But in particular, the company has really worked hard at lifting its game being a leading light in diversity and inclusion. And you can see through the text of the slide there, there's a whole bunch of awards that we win. And it's not just for the awards, it's the journey. And some of the ones that I'm more familiar with the region that I work in, for example, we've just received a 2022 Great Place to Work and Best Workplace for Women and Millennials in Korea. What a great thing to do. And I know that was a 5-6 year journey for our Korean team. But we do track gender diversity on a global basis. We are committed to it. Our CEO is very passionate about diversity and inclusion, challenges us to be engaged and be involved. And he's also helped build out a number of initiatives in the company around things such as Council of Black Employees, Council of Women Engineers, and women in Agilent groups around the world. For those that are interested, I'd really encourage you to look at the online material from our diversity and inclusion report and our corporate social responsibility report. There's some really nice pictures down the bottom here that just give you a snapshot, excuse me, of how that diversity and inclusion and that corporate social responsibility goes even broader through some of the volunteer work that we do. We have a picture of Joyce, who's retired now, but 50 years within the company. It's a great story. And also empowering through science people from the African subcontinent and so on. And also a project I'm involved with here in Australia around Indigenous students, particularly recognising that our young high school students need to be empowered to make a choice about their futures, particularly involving science, engineering and math type subjects. I'll quickly just tell you a little bit about Darlene. I think that's the second, excuse me, the second important thing about this award. So very quickly, Dr. Darlene Solomon is our Senior Vice President and Chief Technology Officer for Agilent. She also leads our Agilent Labs group, which is a longer term research group focusing on life sciences and diagnostics. And she also manages the company's university relations, corporate library, and our external venture investments. She's been with the company a long time. She joined when we were Hewlett Packard in '84 and has, through great contribution as a fantastic person, a good scientist, obviously developed her role, and she's now on the CEO staff. In terms of background, Darlene undertook her bachelor's degree in chemistry at Stanford University and did her PhD in bioinorganic chemistry from MIT, and also completed the Stanford University Executive Development Program. She has a lot of patents to her name, a lot of publications. She's been inducted to the Women in Technology International Hall of Fame, the YWCA Tribute to Women in Industry Award, and it was also named to Diversity Journal's Women Worth Watching and also the Corporate Board Members 50 Top Women in Technology. Her list goes on. I know Darlene can't make it here tonight. I assume she's not here because it's crazy early in the morning in that part of the world where she lives. But one part that's very personal to me, I'll just close out on, is in the context of this award, it's really important that I let you know that I'm honoured to have worked with Darlene for many years. And indeed, we're colleagues and friends. And I've had the privilege of seeing Darlene's unique engagement and authentic support for women in science, which is what this award is all about. And not only women in science, but the development of all scientists and staff, regardless of gender. She epitomises some of those values and behaviours that I touched on earlier, that Agilent has, I should say, and is a key driver of many of the programs that have been initiated within Agilent around diversity and inclusion and those corporate social responsibility programs, and also investing in our people. But importantly, this award recognises the spirit and continued legacy of Darlene. I'm honoured to have been on the selection committee for the award, second year in a row. And in recognition of Dr. Darlene Solomon, who is a key opinion leader, scientist, business leader, woman, mother, wife, mentor, colleague and friend, I'd now like to pass over to Professor Marcus Wink for the award handover. Thank you, everyone, and thank you, Marcus.
Of course. Thank you very much. And if I can have the next slide. So the winner this year, and this is the second year we do it, is Federica Fiorini. And I say a few words before we pass the platform to her. So Federica is originally from Italy, where she earned a bachelor and a master's degree in organic chemistry and organic sciences as well, a bit like what David just said about Darlene, from the University of Milano, and a PhD degree in chemical sciences also from the University of Strasbourg in France in late 2016. And since then, she's collected work experience in various positions across Europe and the US, as well as a postdoctoral fellow experience at the Helmholtz Center for Infection in Germany. She's currently an ingénieur hospitalier, an associated researcher at CHU in Grenoble, where her work is concerned with development of protocols for mass spectrometric analysis of small molecules or metabolites, both on the wet as well as the dry side of the value chain, I believe. So a broad exposure in the area, and contributions, of course, accordingly. Now, interestingly enough, I mean, despite the relatively early stages in her career, Federica has already earned a number of awards and certificates, and believe that this one will certainly add to that growing list. So Federica, as the organizer of ISLS 10 and strong supporter of FeMS as well, I do have the pleasure and distinct honor to hereby present you the Darlene Solomon Award provided jointly by Agilent Technologies and Females in Mass Spectrometry. And this award was created for early career female scientists such as yourself. It provides financial support to attend mass spectrometry conferences and allows awardees to benefit from access to cutting-edge technology used in the molecular systems biology and related disciplines. So with that, I'd like to really congratulate you and wish you all the best for the future. We do, of course, also look forward to an opportunity to welcome you in Singapore, and hopefully that is not going to be in the all too distant future. And with that, I'd like to end and congratulate. I can clap my hands. Not everybody can actually do this, but I congratulate you with this for this award and achievement, and pass the stage to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much for this nice introduction. And I would really like to say that I'm very honored and excited for this award. I would like to thank Agilent and Females in Mass Spectrometry, as well as the award committee. The next slide, please, Tusi. So I was asked to give a brief presentation about myself, my project, and the future plans. So yes, I'm originally an organic chemist by training. I studied at the University of Milan, my hometown in Italy. I moved to Strasbourg for a PhD in biochemistry, so I was involved in the development of biomaterials for tissue engineering and biomedical applications. And I got also to spend during the PhD some months at the Houston Methodist Research Institute in Houston, Texas. I then moved to the north of Germany in Braunschweig at Helmholtz Center for Infection Research for a postdoc. And here it was really when I had the first contact with the mass spectrometry-based metabolomics. And I have to say, I was really fascinated by the enormous potential that metabolites have in enclosing information about phenotype and genotype. So when we moved to France, to Grenoble, I wanted to keep working in this field. And so I joined the JAXIM metabolomics platform within the University Hospital of Grenoble. Next slide, please, Lucy. So Yes, thank you. So to give you some examples about my work, during my postdoc, I got interested in the development of data analysis workflows for mass spectrometry-based data, and in particular through a collaboration with DSMZ, we could have access to novel bacterial strains from marine, especially, and soil samples. So the interest of investigating an understudied environment such as the marine one lays in the, let's say, long-lasting common sense that here we have higher chances of finding novel chemistries, so novel natural products. However, we can still often face the unproductive and time-consuming rediscovery of already known metabolites. So we wanted to develop a workflow that could really help to prioritize bacterial strains, so talented strains for the production of novel chemistry. This was our research question, and we were able really to establish a powerful method to classify microbial strains from large collections by putting together a standardized mass spectrometry-based metabolomics workflow of data analysis and coupled with open access tools for the identification of already known metabolites. And so we were able really to show that such a standardized workflow can prioritize samples for subsequent isolation of potential new compounds. Moving to Grenoble, as I work on a metabolomics, sorry, the previous slide again. As I work on a metabolomics platform within a hospital, yes, thank you. I'm now working on metabolomics projects related to clinical needs. And here again, we wanted to face the challenge of processing large volume of complex data. And so we established an R-based workflow, so an R markdown for the comprehensive data processing, statistical analysis, and reporting of complex data. So we basically have a single workflow that can include different analysis and statistical tools. So I have really to thank the bioinformaticians and developers who created these tools and made them open access for us to use. And we are using this workflow, for example, now for the analysis of COVID-19 metabolomics data from severe and mild COVID patients to try to find biomarkers or group of robust biomarkers that could be predictive of the evolution of the disease and could be directly used by our colleagues, medical doctors in the clinic. So next slide, please, Tuzi. What's next now? So now it is already acknowledged that the metabolic profile is really a direct signature of the phenotype and of biological events that follow any perturbation in an organism. And so, for example, the abundance of specific metabolites or biomarkers can be really used as indicator of a disease stage or disease progression. The alteration of these metabolites could be, for example, resulting from a host immune response or, linked with a dysregulation of major biochemical pathways in response to an infection. This is the case, for example, of cystic fibrosis. And I think that mass spectrometry-based metabolomics could be a great methodology, a great tool to really decipher global and dynamic metabolic alterations in the lungs of cystic fibrosis patients and could help us understand our very fast developing disease and very dynamic disease and hopefully possibly help in guide personalized clinical decisions for early intervention. And of course, we know that with metabolomics, we obtain really useful molecular data. So at a molecular, really at the molecular level, that can be used then to enhance our understanding understanding of complex biochemical pathways, for example, to enable therapeutic targets elucidation, or also the effects of the treatment effects, the results of the treatment effects. So I would really like to further contribute to these fields and to keep contributing to the metabolomics fields. And also, of course, I'm not there in Singapore in these days. Plans for the future means also that I would really love to attend the conference in March next year and possibly meet with female scientists and leaders at Agilent and visit the Singapore site. And I have a very last slide. Can you go to the next one, Tusi, please? So that I titled Empowering Women. So as you all know, this award is really for women in mass spectrometry. And so as a woman, female scientist and mother, I would like to share some of the challenges that are, I think, really common also probably to men and father. And these are, for example, the fear of missing out, especially when you are a parent of young children, that goes really well together with the feel of falling behind at work. So in paper production, attending conference and so on. During the last 2 years of the COVID pandemic, we had to face increasing parental duties and also the lack of important networking opportunities. And in general, I think, especially as PhD and postdoc researchers, we have to face often really long hours in the lab and as well the lack of job security. So I wanted to share with you some of the maybe skills that I got to learn and still have to learn to face these challenges. And these are, for example, a good management of the time, the ability of setting priorities in our work, the fundamental way of really sharing responsibilities. So I have to say that I'm really lucky. I have a very supportive husband with whom I share parental and home responsibilities as well. But also I was always very lucky of working with amazing colleagues and supportive PIs. To learn the art of say no when we get before getting overwhelmed with projects, the importance, as I said, of teamwork and open communication with our colleagues, and finally the ability of setting clear goals, even for short periods. But I think that's really important, and I think many or all of these points were also discussed in a very nice publication that was authored by some of the amazing women in FeMS, and I put here the reference. And I would really like finally to use this moment to encourage especially women, but also maybe men, fathers, to really pursue a career in science. And I hope I was able a little bit to demonstrate that it is not only possible to be a mother and a researcher, but also it is really possible to enjoy it and be happy while doing so. So I have a very last slide to thank you all for your attention. And finally, you can see here a picture of our team on the JAXIM platform in Grenoble. So girls power team. And yeah, thank you all for your attention.
Thank you very much, Federica.
Thank you.
We have time for some questions, if there are any questions in the chat. That was very inspiring. We have a hard stop at 4:30, so Marcus,
yeah, I could ask something regarding the workflow you introduced or briefly sketched on the COVID patients in the hospital. This is great, of course, and there are some efforts elsewhere as well going on in that respect, as you know.
Yes.
So I think and we are very much involved in community efforts ourselves. not necessarily for that, but for other aspects. And I wonder whether you have some comments or thoughts on this, because you know, if let's say you and somebody in Beijing and somebody in Wuhan and wherever else they are would do this continuously now, and maybe to study long COVID and so on and so forth, and share some of these information or have it publicly available, number one, and number two, with from a mass spectrometry point of view, with calibrants that would allow us to do inter-laboratory or inter-site comparisons more easily, and that would be shared reference materials. I wonder whether you have some thoughts on this.
Yes, so yes, absolutely. So I think in general, and especially regarding COVID, so sharing data is really fundamental. So regarding this, we and many other laboratories shared our mass spectrometry data on the GNPS massive website. So I saw that there is also a section there, especially for COVID data. So I think it is really important to be able to share them and maybe reuse them, reanalyze data from different laboratories. Yes, so maybe possibly to add some internal calibrants would be also a nice idea to have as well quantification comparisons. But I think really so to share data and be able to reprocess data from different laboratories could be really helpful in this respect. Yes.
Oh, yeah, I think it was a great opportunity also for future preparedness as a community.
Yes.
It's of everybody's interest, right? So
yeah. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, thank you once again and congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, I don't see any further questions in the chat right now, and we're also right on time. So with this, we conclude the formal part of this award ceremony with a big congratulations again.
Thank you very much.
I'd also like to thank the award committee for screening the applicants and selecting you. And
thank you.
Everyone who dialed in online. This is recorded. And of course, I would like to thank Agilent for their generosity of to sponsor this award. It's we didn't mention how much it is. It's quite a substantial cash amount. Thank you very much. There's going to be a press release, which is embargoed until now. So watch out for the press release on this. And yeah, I think that's it. Congrats again.
Thank you.
Have a wonderful, hello Ilan. Have a wonderful rest of the day.
You too, thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Congratulations, Federica.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all. Nice job, Anna.
Bye.
So how are you going to celebrate? Hey, Tusi, can you stop the recording?